this is the trial she couldn't do.
Uh-huh.
Amarantha just had to get her married.
Yeah, Amarantha is rolling over in her grave, and she's like, "I told you she had a fickle human heart."
Yeah, oh, dude, that's actually a great point. Amarantha is like, "Told you so."
Amarantha's like, "I should have just made her walk down a fucking aisle." Welcome back to the Book Breathing Bitch Queens podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Allie, and this week we're jumping into chapter 4 of A Court of Mist and Fury. This chapter is the wedding and the wind up to the wedding. So we get some scenes with Ianthe and Bronn and Hart talking to Feyre at the party the night before. We get Feyre's dream, and then we get the wedding's like a sunset wedding. So like the moment it's just she's like kind of walking out, Alice is getting her ready and she's walking out and down the aisle, and we end with our classic iconic panic in the middle of the aisle, followed by begging for help, followed by hello favorite darling,
Mm-hmm.
and we see our boy Rhys back again, and somehow we're gonna wait till next week to talk about what comes after, which is crazy.
Yes. If there was any doubt as to how she feels about this wedding, it is summed up in these first few sentences of this chapter. I was so like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's some foreshadowing that I do love because she does become a high lady. And so this is nice that it's in here. But
Hmm.
a few days before the wedding ceremony, guests had begun arriving. And I was grateful that I'd never be a high lady, never be Tamlin's equal in responsibility and power. A small, forgotten part of me roared and screamed at that. But dinner after dinner, luncheons and picnics and hunts. And I'm just like, that's what the high lady of the spring court would be doing. Would be doing
Hmm.
first lady shit, picking out china patterns,
Yeah, no wonder there's
and
no high ladies. That sounds boring as fuck.
well, and that or that's the difference, right? Is that that's what she thinks a high lady would be doing. That's what the lady of the spring court is going to be doing. That's what she's going to do.
Yeah.
She's going to be doing luncheon. She's going to be doing, meeting people, smiling, dressing pretty, doing the Jackie O shit, picking out china
Mhm.
patterns and writing her
Yeah.
little letters and, what she can read or whatever, right? That a high lady is actually going to be someone who needs to be much more involved in the goings on of the
Mhm.
court, right? That they're going to have
Yeah,
much
like a
more
real high
power.
lady, yeah.
Yeah, making decisions, making law, making, whatever. And so not only can she not see past it, but I love that there's already this like push and pull with
Mhm.
her own thoughts, right? She's like, I'm so glad I would never be the high lady, even though there's a small part of me that like roared against that. Like she's already seeing the duties in the spring court as like simply intrigue, right?
Yeah.
But then also there's that part of
Yes.
her that's like, I'm just gonna sit back and be completely powerless in all of this and just whatever. And then even the
Mhm.
next paragraph, right? I was introduced and passed around, and my face hurt from the smile I kept plastered there day and night. I began looking forward to the wedding, just knowing that once it was over, I wouldn't have to be pleasant or talk to anyone or do anything for a week, a month, a year. Once it's over,
Mhm. That's not
like,
how anybody should ever talk about their wedding
no,
under any
no.
circumstance.
Just like, oh my God, she's miserable.
Yeah. I will
Um,
also say that opening lines there a few days before the wedding, I was grateful I'd never be a high lady. To me, I wrote in my second read through, I think I wrote it sounds like cope. It sounds like stages of grief, like kind of maybe like denial or acceptance or like a
yeah,
little bit of both.
yeah.
Cuz you just don't really buy it, and then when she says a small forgotten part of me, I was like that's the part.
Yeah,
That's what you're actually feeling.
yeah. Mhm.
And then my classic like, well, what part of you? Because it is kind of interesting. She always sort of separates out this part of her that
Mhm.
once has like a lust for power, but for
Yeah,
magic
but I
or
think
stuff
it's
like that.
also I think it's the part of her that died under the mountain, right? That
Mhm.
she thinks died under the mountain, the part that that was human and willing to go into Fey territory to save somebody, the one
Yeah.
who at 13 or whatever, picked up the bow to save her family. Like, she has that in her,
True self.
whether
Yeah.
it's a genetic, Fey lineage, witch lineage, whatever that we've speculated, but it's really
Mhm.
just her personality, right? She wasn't groomed, and she doesn't have the personality to just be this pretty figure that everybody just calls a savior and moves on from. And I don't even think that she would be into that if she didn't feel like a murderer and a liar. But there's a
No,
part of her that feels like, whatever,
I
as
think
soon
it's a
as this is
Fey.
over,
Yeah.
I can just, it'll be fine, we'll be fine.
Hmm.
But then I think it's also just in her to be a high lady, right? Like, she's made it to
Hmm.
Rhysand, and there's, it's kind of like, what part of her is personality and what part of this is like destiny sort of nudging her along and being like, this is in you because this is where you're
Hmm.
going. um
Yeah. Does seem like a little bit of both. I do also wonder, like, if Elaine had been chosen, because she seems right now, before we have her book, she does seem like the type who would be fine with this. So it's a good thing she wasn't chosen.
I just watched somebody, and I need to start writing their names down, but I just watched somebody's TikTok who was like, if Elaine was the one who went to spring court, these books would be so different. He was like, Elaine would not have gone out on Calamni. She would have stayed in her room. She would
Hmm.
be the lady of the court, and like, she would be totally fine. He was like, she'd be happy, but she would be exactly what Tamlin wants.
Hmm.
And they were like, and then we wouldn't have a series because, like,
Yeah.
Elaine wouldn't have gone, well, so far as we know, wouldn't have gone under the mountain to save Tamlin. And
Yeah.
not to mention that if she is truly Lucian's mate, that would have, could you imagine the fucked up scenario? Like, imagine if Elaine is taken and she doesn't do any of the things that Feyre does, but then the mate bond snaps, so then she goes under the mountain to save Lucian.
Dude. That
Like,
would be fascinating.
yeah,
You mad? Oh,
and then Feyre is the one who gets put into the cauldron, but then, like, they're not there. The Night Court's not there to save him, so she just comes out of the cauldron and hangs out with Tamlin for a while till she, like, it would be such a different series if Tamlin had
yeah.
chosen Elaine. Um,
Yeah. Well, and the cauldron thing was actually more of a trap for the Night Court. It wasn't like,
yeah.
so probably none of that would have ever happened. But yeah.
Although
Um.
although I have theories already that it, again, I don't fully remember how it leads up to it. I just know
Mhm.
that it happens, and so I'm excited to see in this book how what the lead up is, and then in the
Mhm.
next book the explanation, because I don't remember it at all as to
Yeah.
why they were in Hybern other than to trap the Night Court. But there's something that Ianthe says, I think it's in this chapter, um, that is, I mean, it's definitely in this chapter, that is very like, what do you mean you have people on looking into this? And
Oh yeah.
I think that there's already talks of Hybern.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I had the same thought.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Yeah. We'll get to that in a little bit. I will also say the part that you just read, or I guess it was like 5 minutes ago, but anyway, I was introduced and passed around.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, very passive language, very objectifying language. Like,
Yep.
you don't, she's literally referring to herself as an object who was passed around.
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, I just the language like that rhetorically, I'm just like, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even like she's not even doing the smile. The
Yeah.
smile was plastered. Oh, I guess she kept it plastered. But,
Yeah.
it's very interesting, like, just classic yeah. And the the way that she talks about Tamlin and her going through this, he endured it, I weathered it.
Uh-huh. It it kind of drove me nuts, this next
Yeah.
paragraph where she talks about Tamlin, right? Because Tamlin endured it in that quiet, near feral way of his. You're like, okay, cool, cool. Tamlin's same old Tamlin, right? You told me again that the parties were a way to introduce me to his court, to give his people something to celebrate. Again, why do I have to be but whatever.
Mhm.
Um, he assured me that he hated the gatherings as much as I did, and that Lucian was the only one who really enjoyed himself. But I caught Tamlin grinning sometimes. This part kills me. And truthfully, he deserved it. He'd earned it.
Mhm.
And I wrote under it, had he?
No.
Has he earned this happiness? He hasn't worked through any of his trauma, and he didn't do anything.
Yeah, I had a feeling you'd feel that way.
Like, and even just okay, so maybe
Yeah.
he's had a hard life and maybe everyone who's had some hardship deserves a moment of happiness. Okay, fine. But he'd earned it. I'm like, and you don't? You just have to weather this storm until it's over and then you can hide away for a day or a week or a month or a year or whatever. Like, fuck. All right.
It does fit that, because she hates herself so much that she's not even relating the fact that she saved them all. She's like just ignoring her actual contributions.
Yeah.
Even though, because yeah, well, that's obvious, but yeah, it's just yeah. I also think it's funny that she immediately is like, he assured me that he hated it, but he's smiling. Like that's a resentment. That is
Yes.
annoyance. She is
Yes.
like, she feels alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even in this that like it's almost like he's pandering to her. Like
Yeah. It sounds
he,
like, babe, I hate these things too. Yeah,
yeah,
me, I'm
right?
just gonna have some
Come hang
tears
out
the
with my
gut.
friends. Come hang out with my friends. Blah blah blah. I mean, I don't really like hanging out with them either, but like it's a way for them to meet you.
And then he's like off
They deserve
giggling
to celebrate
hysterically.
too, Feyre. Come on, come on. I don't like it any more than you do, but come hang out with my friends. You're like, fuck off, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I also just noticed that she also refers to it as Tamlin's friends, which
Mm.
is interesting because with Rhys, she kind of almost immediately becomes friends with his friends. Well, not she doesn't meet them for a bit, but like once she does, or like more even though more
Mm-hmm.
may be like evil or something, she is immediately like, I'm your friend.
Yeah.
Like let's like meanwhile Tamlin, I don't know how often she's met these people, but it seems
Yeah.
like she's met them enough that they
Yes.
should be like talking to her, but they still are passing her around. And so it's just very interesting.
There's a moment in this chapter where she says that she'd met his friends and like immediately forgot their names.
Yeah, yeah. It's later when she's leaving the party.
Yeah.
When she, that's also an interesting part too. And also, I'm like, why doesn't anyone know how to talk to her?
Okay, but
It's
what's really
weird.
interesting is that well, because they don't have anything to relate to, and because Tamlin doesn't let her do anything. What do
Aren't
you?
they court people? Don't they know manners?
Yeah, but
Like,
like
come on.
what I found was interesting, and I'm going to skip a little bit ahead, but like, so she says that she doesn't remember any of their names, right? She's like, I met them all a couple of times, and I didn't remember. I immediately forgot their names. She doesn't care to learn. She doesn't care, whatever. When she's in the next chapter, when she's in the night court, she immediately remembers the two servant names.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was
Although she did
like,
spend quite a bit of time with them, but
sure, sure, but it could have
hmm
just been, but I mean, that could be all the more reason to not remember their names because they were there with her under the mountain during, and they were the ones who painted her and all the things. Like she could have been like, he had the same ones here, blah 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 blah. I don't care to know them. I don't care to talk to them. I don't give a shit that they're corporeal now. Blah blah blah. But instead, she's like, I wouldn't have even realized that's who they were if they hadn't acted like they knowed me and this was their names. And so I think that it's really interesting that like everyone she meets in the spring court, in the court that she's supposed to be married to, and to some degree kind of rule with or whatever, she's just like, I don't care about
yeah,
any of these people. I have nothing in common with them, and all they want to talk about is hunting, and I don't care.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it just seems like they are not trying with her either. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, that can also speak to what we talked about last week, where it's like, what is Tamlin saying to them that keeps
Yeah,
their tongues tied, right? Like if these are when we first talk about them, Ianthe's like, oh, these are the people who court intrigue and they'll slit your throat at dinner for more power, and they're manipulative and they're gonna get. And these people are like, so you like to hunt? And she's like, I used to. And they're like, cool, 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 nice dress. And then they don't say anything. Like
yeah.
if these were people who were really like kind of pushing boundaries and like Tamlin wasn't like, don't fucking say shit to her,
Mhm.
then you would think that they would be like, how do you feel being Fae? Or what do you think of Spring Court? Or congratulations, like something else. But she's like literally like they say like 30 seconds worth of information and then it's done. Like the conversation ends.
Yeah.
And it's just
Maybe it's because she's such a brick wall, maybe, that she's
maybe
like, but
I'm always here to blame Tamlin.
Mhm. Yes. I also love how Alice is always a real one. She just fucking hates Ianthe.
Yes, I was like
Um,
Alice is all like very watchful because like right, are you ready for tomorrow? Is there anything I can do for you? Ianthe sipped from her glass of sparkling wine. The gown I wore tonight was a gift from her, actually spring court green, she'd called it. Alice had merely lingered while I dressed, unnervingly silent, letting Ianthe claim her usual duties. So Ianthe's the one that was getting her ready. And
And Alice
instead
is
of
annoyed.
yeah, but not only annoyed, but instead of Alice being like, "Okay, well, you ladies have fun. I have other duties to attend to," she stays.
So
Like,
funny.
like she is like, "What is this little trifling bitch trying to do right now?" Like,
Maybe she doesn't want to leave her alone with Ianthe.
yeah,
She's
maybe
like,
she's
I
like,
don't want to guard
I
you.
don't. She's like, I don't trust her. I don't know what she is whispering in your ear, so I'ma stay. We'll stay right
Yep,
here and we'll just listen.
it's
Yeah.
funny. And it's so funny to hear Feyre being like, I wish Ianthe would stay. I really want her to
Well,
stay.
that's the other thing. Like, Feyre is still in this space of like one of the reasons why I think that she fell for Tamlin is because he was like the first person to be kind and to give her
Yeah.
basic needs, right? And we
And
talked
Ianthe
about
is the
the
first person that is like
yeah,
a
and like
woman.
yeah, and like we talked about we're I mean we can still talk about the pyramid of needs, right? About
Mhm.
Maslow. And and so I think Ianthe is she looks like that next step, right? It's like
Mhm.
she's fed, she's clothed, she's safe at this point, and now that step above that is like those connections, the family
Mhm.
connections, the
Yeah.
things that bring you identity. And so she's clinging to Ianthe because Ianthe's the only one that actually speaks to her, even though what she keeps telling her is fucking spring court propaganda bullshit. But she's
Yeah.
nice to her and she smiles and she's warm and she does recognize when Feyre is uncomfortable and tries to comfort her. And, we all know it's out for her own gain, but for someone who is so starved for safety and affection,
Attention.
it
Yeah.
makes sense that she would cling to Ianthe, right? That it's like a trauma bond almost. And
Mhm.
she's like, what am I going to do without her here? Because there's nobody who talks to me here.
Yeah. And Alice is kind of like that, but I think she's more like a family member, siblings, or mother kind of thing. And also, she's like, she can't just be hanging out in social situations with Feyre all the time. So, but I feel like
Also,
they would maybe if she was like
Also, I
that
think
normal.
Feyre has a little bit of because in the earlier chapters where she was like, even Alice like cried and thanked me for what I did for her and her boys. And I think there's still a little bit of like a boundary with Alice because she's like, I can never be 100% honest with Alice because my shredded
Mm,
soul got her family back together. And so the same
true,
reasons why
yeah.
she can't be
Whereas Ianthe
fully
doesn't have a direct benefit.
yeah, right. I mean her direct benefit is that what she came out of hiding or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so I think that there's still a little bit of
that's a
a
good point.
place there where Feyre still feels a little bit edited around Alice
Hmm.
because of the like, well, I can't tell you what I'm really feeling because I can't tell you that I regret my choices because my choices allowed you to get your boys back
Hmm.
and allowed you a freedom that you didn't have. Where yeah, so
Although it's not like she's doing that with Ianthe either. She's not like being honest
that
with
is
her.
true.
She
That
just
is true.
has more of her needs sort of tended to by Ianthe noticing when she's uncomfortable.
Well, and for someone who in book one has kind of, a hot head and has a little bit of a loose tongue when it comes to being a smart mouth, like she's so buttoned up, she's so held in, she's so
Hmm.
held together that you're like,
And
she's
that alone should be noticed by your fucking fiance.
right. Like she's
Just
not
the fact
making
that she doesn't have a sharp cutting tongue
yeah.
anymore.
Like she hasn't laughed in 3 months. You should know the difference between a real smile and a fake smile for someone that you're close to. And also, she hasn't made one single joke about brushing somebody's hair in 3 months. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, and then we meet Braun. Braun is the one who gets Lash, right?
I think so. But this is what
Okay.
I found interesting too was I already because we're talking about like her contemplating how pathetic it would be for her to ask Ianthe to stay for longer. But if I revealed that I dreaded her leaving me to this court, these people, like, she feels like she's surrounded by enemies still. She's like, if I
Definitely.
told her that I didn't want her to leave me to this court, the court that you're supposed to be the lady of,
To these people.
like, I don't want to be around these people. Don't leave me with them. What?
Yeah. Yeah, that is an interesting amount of like, yeah, removal or it's kind of weird. Does she fuck Bron and Hart? Is that what happens? Or
I'm pretty
are they
sure.
thirsty?
Yeah, I think it's a.
I
I
don't know
mean,
why.
they're either interested or I mean, it does say that she like has she gave a coy, pretty tilt of her lips that I'd learned meant that she was now hunting for nighttime companionship. So
Yeah,
maybe she'll take one of them or both. Who knows?
interesting. Yeah, my next I just thought it was interesting that like well, it was a little conversation, but kind of I guess standard. It is interesting, we were under the mountain with you and she's like, okay, but yeah, a fitting end on the wedding. A fitting end would have been me in a grave burning in hell.
I underlined it and wrote, "Damn, okay."
Yeah. And I guess I mean, I think that is meant to be mostly about her guilt.
Yeah.
That's what she would feel like she needs to burn in hell, but should be hell with one L for the record. I'm
Yes.
just kidding. But also like it's also her response to like what should happen instead of her wedding. Which
Yeah.
is not a great.
Well, and on top of that, it's like, so like, does she think that she doesn't deserve to marry Tamlin? Because a part of
Mm,
that kind of feels that way, where she's like, I'm glad I'm not his equal, and I should be burning in hell and not having this wedding. And like, later on, she's like, maybe I'll just tell Tamlin I can't get married yet, and I'll wait till the mate bond snaps so that I know that I'm his equal, so that I know that I'm worthy of him. And you're like, ew.
yeah. Probably she was thinking like that. I think this is more about guilt, but
Yeah.
that's probably she's definitely very self-loathing, very yeah.
I do find this conversation with Braun to be really interesting because like so I have to say Braun went on that trial with the Midgard worm, brilliant, one of the most brilliant things I ever saw. And I wrote like they admire her for it. But then like later she's like she was like they found like
Yeah, she says like a spectate
yeah, savior and jester apparently, right?
yeah.
And Braun had sound. I'm on page 38. Braun had sounded as if watching my encounter with the Middengard worm was a sporting match, as if I hadn't been one mistake away from being devoured whole and my bones spat out. Savior and jester, apparently. Like she doesn't
Yeah.
want to be like, and that makes perfect sense. That he's like, dude, that was so brilliant. And she's like, oh, I'm glad that you enjoyed that.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. Yeah.
Like
It was a weird
I
disconnect.
wasn't there to we weren't this was not a good time for me, sir.
Yeah.
And like even the fact that like she could have been killed, but it was like all that was at stake, Braun. And you're like, that was brilliant. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, well the next time that you get into a fight with a Naga, I'm gonna say that was brilliant.
I do think it's interesting how he is so reductive like that. And also I think it's interesting that the moment that you just read is from when after she has her nightmare, she
Hmm.
wakes up. We'll talk about what happens right after she wakes up, but then like it's like her first thought that's not about like calming down
Hmm.
is about Braun's comment about that. And I was
Yeah.
just like, I guess it's interesting that it was such a not that it's so significant to her, but like it's just interesting that that's like the first thing she
Yeah.
thinks
I mean,
of.
I can see here's the thing. At least Braun is trying to say more than four words to her.
Yes.
And she is introduced as savior of Prithian, and so Ianthe kind of opens the door for this conversation because he's like, we know we were under the mountain with you. And so Feyre's like, great. And so like if you're with someone somewhere, of course that's where the conversation's going to go, right? Like if I meet someone and they tell me that they studied at SDSU, I'm going to be like, oh, who were you with? But we're like, that's where our conversation, because
Mhm.
we're trying to relate, trying to talk about something that you have in common.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily think that he's being a dick in this moment, but I can see how for Feyre, she's like, I don't want to, like, it was not fun for me, sir. Like,
Yeah.
okay. But I do also see a little bit of like the admiration that they have, right? Where it's like, and right,
They take her seriously.
and he's also commenting on like a moment of strength and bravery that she doesn't
Hmm.
get to hold anymore. She doesn't get to do anything like that anymore, right? She's cooped up in this castle and being told that she just needs to, sit pretty. And and so for Braun to be like, you were brilliant. It was amazing. And she's like, yeah, well, that's not who I get to be anymore. So,
Yeah. It'd be very depressing.
and also
Um,
maybe resenting part of that aspect of her because she's like, great. So when I am doing something that's noble, it's really just for spectators. Like it's for spectacle. It's for entertainment. Like why what? Like it kind of takes out the like the bravery and the strength that it took to do it. Where she's just like,
yeah.
okay,
It's reductive. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I thought the Ianthe glaze at the top of 36 is crazy. Like she's just like I was grateful. So and she does say so pathetically grateful, which I appreciate, but it's still like for the steadying touch, for the squeeze. I knew that that she'd inspire hordes of young Fae females to join her order, not for worshipping their mother and cauldron, but to learn how she lived, how she could shine so brightly and love herself, move from male to male as if they were dishes at a banquet. Like, what is this?
Yeah, so I had a couple of questions. One, I was like, cool, so you're already recognizing that women are going to flock to her, not for the religion, but for her. I'm like, that's a charismatic leader. That's a cult. That's a
Mm-hmm.
problem. But also, I was like, is there like a huge, I mean, and we know that this happens a little bit because there's some slut shaming of more later and even of Feyre, but how she could shine so bright and love herself, move from male to male with as if they were dishes as a banquet. I'm like, is that like, how can you be promiscuous and still love yourself? You're going to teach all these girls feminism because you can use men and still love yourself.
Yeah.
I was like, that's yuck.
Yeah, and it's just weird. I don't
How
know.
do you embrace your sexuality? But like that's kind of like a conversation of feminism, right? Where it's just like
Yeah.
how do women embrace their sexuality and blah blah blah. But the way that it's stated here, I was just like, okay, but you're also realizing that like women are gonna flock, or females are gonna flock to Ianthe
Hmm.
because of how she takes power and not because of devotion to the cauldron or the mother.
Yeah. And it's just like a random thing to say right now. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe she's just what she's jealous of with Anthe is that she can manipulate men or males. And she wishes she could control Tamlin. So
Maybe. Yeah.
maybe that's the admiration. But I just like yeah, I just wrote Ianthe Glaze lol.
Yeah. I didn't realize that Ianthe's father was still alive and is still a general.
Yeah, he's like a super. Is he a general? Is that what
Yeah,
the?
yeah,
I thought
he's
he was like in charge of Tamlin's men or something.
well, he's in charge of the military, so I'm assuming he's a
Okay.
general, right? But like, does my father have you two on duty tomorrow, or will you be
Yeah,
attending the ceremony? I was like, oh, her dad's still there. Okay,
I forgot about that too, but I didn't really. I just was like, okay, it
yeah,
does make you
but
wonder why would
now,
he step in
but
more?
but now the High Lady of the Night Court has killed his daughter. So just saying,
Interesting.
the daughter that he,
I feel like we would have heard something by now
yeah,
if
you would think so, yeah,
it was going to be a thing. I think if it came back into play now, unless it was truly really well done, it'd feel like a weird retcon.
yeah, that's true.
Like SJM was like, I need somebody to come back and go editors go search through my books and find a person who
I
can
mean, I can
be
see if
pissed.
there's like I could see maybe if there is a meeting with Spring Court that he comes into play
Sure.
and
Yeah.
like is, there, and then like if there's like a an argument that happens and then him step up and be like, you killed my daughter, you dumb bitch, like Boa, and she's like, great. Two people in the
Mhm.
Spring Court who can't stand me, like, and I can see it being like kind of bolstering a little bit of like Tamlin's animosity towards her, especially post book 3. But
Yeah.
yeah, it would be a little weird if he like had a larger role to play. I could see him just being like, watch how he being the Asriel for Tamlin, right? Watch how you talk to my High Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
She is intense with this defense of Rhys.
Yes. Also, I will note, I just thought it was interesting how Hart goes, "Oh, we should go out hunting," and she's like, "Tamlin wouldn't allow me out with them in 1,000 years." Like the level of her, like, just obviously it's a huge exaggeration of whatever. It's just like it just reeks of like her like I'm never gonna get around Tamlin's thumb type beat. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Cuz it's not even I mean, I think she says it afterwards, right, that she doesn't want to hunt anymore.
yeah, but she starts with
But she starts with
Tamlin.
Tamlin. Tamlin would
Mhm.
never allow it. And then it's almost like the
Set
talking
the tone.
herself into that's a good choice that he made, right? It's like
Yeah,
Tamlin
because
would
I don't
never
want to
let
hunt
me.
anyway.
Exactly. It's the I bet those grapes were sour I bet those grapes were sour anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then yeah, so Braun's like, or no, Hart goes, "Have you heard from Daddy Reese?" He does say that. It's written here.
Yeah.
Um, and everyone's like, "Huh?" She
It wa
says no. And okay, this entire time she is staring down Hart. What is that about? It's
she's
weird.
defending Reese because right?
She
It's
keeps it going for like a long time.
yes. Because it's have you heard from the High Lord at all? No. And I like, are you gonna ask more questions right now? Really? This is where you want to go with this conversation? Is kind of what I'm getting from her. She's like, keep going, dig yourself a hole, bud. And
Yeah.
then he's probably running scared now that Tamlin's got his powers back. And she doesn't even miss a beat. There's no description at all. Her next thing out of her mouth is, then you don't know Rhysand very well at all. He blinks. Even Ianthe keeps silent. And she goes, it was probably the most assertive thing I'd said to anyone during these parties.
Her
And then he
mate gives
said,
her confidence.
yeah. And then, we'll take care of him if need be. And then, yeah, she said,
As I
heart shift.
continue to hold his gaze.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Hart said, shifting on his feet as I continued to hold his gaze, not bothering to soften my expression. That's defensive. She's like, you're gonna do
it's like
what?
animalistic eye
Yeah.
contact.
She's like, you're not gonna fucking touch him. Like,
Yeah.
that's some mate bond shit. That's that like, you're gonna do what now? I don't think so.
Yeah. And then we get that line. Ianthe saying, "The high priestesses are taking care of it. We will not allow our savior to be treated so ill."
I said, what does
So,
this mean? And then I questioned Hybern because Hybern's the one who breaks the bargain.
yeah, and we know
And
Tamlin and Lucian are scheming and trying to figure it out, but
well, and then
mm,
Hybern goes at some point, and I can't remember when it is, but they went and attacked the priestesses that Gwen was at, right? Because she's sexually assaulted by one of Hybern's men.
yeah, that's in this book, I think.
Yeah, and so
Maybe.
I'm like, what is Ianthe doing? And what do you mean the priestesses are on it? Are you trying to find a spell to undo it?
Mhm.
And then if the
Yeah.
priestesses are on it and the priestesses get wind that Hybern can do something, why is Hybern, and they're like, oh, well, Hybern attacked them because they had pieces of the cauldron. Well, they probably had pieces of the cauldron and were using it to figure out how to break this bargain. And when word got out that they were trying to break the bargain, Hybern is like, ooh, that's where the cauldron is. I can go and tack it. So even if they're
Mm.
not talking to Hybern, the fact that Ianthe is possibly having these priestesses use the cauldron to come up with ways to break this bargain probably put the pieces of the cauldron on Hybern's radar, and that's why he sacks the
Can you
temples.
use the cauldron feet like that?
Yep.
Like as like
I don't
power?
know.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
know if you can use the cauldron feet like that, but if you had them, would you not look into it?
Right, yeah.
Still comes back to Ianthe's fault.
It always does. But yeah, I was and also, um she's immediately like she doesn't want to hide she hides her reaction, also feels defensive of Reese, and then she's immediately suspicious like, "Oh, like Tamlin's trying to make something happen." And then also, okay, so my chest tightened a bit sometimes I feel like that's used when discussing like sadness or like sometimes, but I think sometimes pleasure. Do you think so? Here in this instance, it's is she like mad? Is that what that is?
Or anxious. My chest tightens, I would think anxiety, right? I schooled my face to
Okay.
neutrality. Was that why Tamlin had initially sought out Ianthe to make an alliance? An alliance with who, though? With the priestesses?
Yeah, and why does that make her anxious then? Like I'm just kind of I don't know, was wondering about
I
that. I
mean,
guess
if
maybe she
I
just
mean
feels like it threatens Reese, and that's
that,
what it is.
or it could be just the fact that it's another thing he's not telling her.
Yes. Yeah.
Because then it could be anger, right? Is that why he sought her out? Is that why she's here? Is like
Mm.
what's he thinking? Is there an alliance happen? Like she's already trying to think about the political implications, right? What is he
Yeah.
doing? Who is he aligning with? What is the power structure? What does it need for spring court? Like all of those questions be going through her head as a high lady.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why her chest is tightening because it's all of these instincts that she has to lead and realizing that she's being cut off at the knees.
Yeah. And I will say it does seem very first of all, uh you don't say good night to your fiance the night before your wedding. Um Huge red flag. I don't know how I didn't see this
Yeah.
before, but I
Yeah.
was just like, "Oh, this is about her depression, blah blah blah." But that's fucking crazy. But I does
I have
now
a
looking at it, it seems like a
picture.
punishment to Tamlin. Like she
Yeah.
finds out that he's undercutting her, and she goes, "Tell Tamlin I'll see him tomorrow." Like
Yeah.
it seems like she is trying to not. She's not saying goodbye to him because she wants to punish
Mhm.
him,
Yeah.
almost like that. Sorry, what were
I
you saying?
have a picture of my goodbye to Topher the night before our wedding.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, which is a weird thing to say, I get, but like, yeah,
I have a
like my
picture of the morning of our wedding,
yeah, like
but
it was
before
the
we
night
got
before we
dressed.
had our rehearsal dinner, which was not really a rehearsal dinner, it was just a dinner with family. And then yeah, and then like my cousin snapped a picture and like posted and was like, "Oh, they say like saying bye before they're married." I'm like, that's a moment to be like, this is the last time I'm gonna see you as just
Mhm.
boyfriend girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's intense.
it is really crazy. Tell him I'll see you tomorrow. And
Yeah.
then, you know, even that is she I feel like she doesn't like their traditions either. She's like, as dictated by their long held traditions.
Yeah. This next
She's
part
over it.
too is it feels a lot of resentment. I didn't make a note for it, but right. As I slipped from the room, I peered towards the front where Tamlin and Lucian were surrounded by a circle of
Uh-huh.
high-fit males and females, perhaps not as refined as some of the others, but they had the look of people who'd been together a long time, fought at each other's sides. Tamlin's friends. Again, Tamlin's friends. He'd
Yeah.
introduced me to them, and I'd immediately forgotten their names. I hadn't tried to learn them again. Tamlin tipped his head back and laughed, and the others howling with him. I left before he could spot me, easing through the crowded halls until I was at the dim, empty stairs of the residential wing. Alone in my bedroom, I realized I couldn't remember the last time I truly laughed. He's
Yes.
yucking it up, dude. He's having a good old time. He's with his buds. He's hanging out with his people. He's having a grand old time. He
Yeah.
deserves it. He's
He's a
earned
frat bro
it.
at a frat party, and he's
Yep.
just having a good time.
Hmm.
Yeah. I will say, there is this part because I always think like the tipped his head back and laughed. I hate that description because it makes it seem like somebody is doing this. Like everyone pause
Yeah.
and then laugh.
Yeah.
Like it just feels so unnatural to me. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I know it's not meant to be seen like that, but I picture it like that every time, and it pisses me off. But she does do that. I forget who there is. I mean, it's probably with Reese or something, but like there is a very clear moment where she does this, and
Yeah.
it's anyway. It just reminded me of that. Um, I do hate to tip their head back.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, we
uh,
do it too, though, when we laugh like fucking banshees over here.
oh no, it's just the actual staging of the
Yeah.
sentence.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
tipped their head back and then laughed. It should be like they laughed looking like it's too separate and it makes it
Yeah.
feel very dramatic and separated,
That's
which is
fair.
weird to me. That's just a weird pet peeve. It's not a big deal, but I see I'm just a little psycho. But yeah,
Yeah. Even if it
so
was like he laughed so hard his head was tipped back or something.
that'd be better because
Yeah.
then it yeah,
Or even it was like he was like clutching his belly laughing. Like,
sure,
you
yeah.
know.
just something, I don't
His
know,
flat, perfect abbed belly.
flat. I don't think it's supposed to be flat. I guess it's flat with muscles, sure.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I will note her dream inherently claustrophobic.
Yes.
As we will continue to talk about Tamlin, all the imagery associated with Tamlin is trapped claustrophobia, and it's just ramping up.
Yep.
Including like literally, we see he's laughing, she's like, I haven't laughed in a long time, and then the ceiling's pushing down on her.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, really interesting dream to have the night before your wedding,
Yep.
and really interesting, you know, as she's talking about how it might hurt.
Mhm.
This top of 38. It would hurt. It'd hurt and be slow, and I'd cry. I might even cry for my mother, who had never cared for me anyway. I might beg her to save me. Huh?
Uh-huh.
What is that line?
I mean,
And I mean,
part
I
of
get
it,
it, it's just like cry for your
yeah.
mommy, but
Yeah, and, like, part of that is, like, in a lot of cases when people die tragically, they do call out for their moms, like,
is that like a real thing?
that's a real world thing, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Mommy. I don't know. I just it's weird. It's one thing to like
it was
compulsively in your out of your mind call for your mommy. It's weird to like think about
yeah,
that she's thinking about her mother in this
yeah,
moment. It almost feels like I mean, to us with our Archeron parent theory, it just feels
yeah,
pointed. And also, it's what I think is also interesting is that the person who does save her is Rhys. And she does beg him to come save her, and he does. And
yeah,
I'm not saying that like Rhys knew her mom. I just mean like, maybe her mom is of that world, and so that world
yeah.
came, in a way.
I think part of it
But
is
yeah,
that we associate our we associate the sort of the safest place that we've had is being held by our mothers, right?
oh sure, but
And I think
generally, but
yeah, and I think that that's what she's like thinking. Like, there's this like innately human thing about calling out to that safety and begging that for help because I think
yeah,
it is something that happens a lot.
yeah.
And like I've thought about that. Like, would I call out to my mom or would I call out to like my husband or my kids? Like, that's I don't know. That seems like
I've never thought about that.
yeah, I have a really dark place in my brain.
I
But
guess
yeah,
I've
and
just not ever thought about crying out, like,
I've
yeah.
also listened to and read a lot of true crime and unfortunately that's what they say are the
Okay.
last words of a lot of their victims. Yeah, but it is interesting that like maybe there's some awareness in her that like that what her
Well,
mother may have been tied to could
yeah,
be
that's what I was
yeah, yeah,
thinking
yeah.
because of when she's saying this. Because also it's not like okay, so, like, trauma, psychologically, typically, it's generally understood that it comes from if you feel like you are going to die and you don't, that when you get re-engaged with that, that is what creates that trauma response, right? And so,
Mhm.
but she never thought like this during the actual times.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. It's almost, I don't think she's actually, it vaguely almost implies that she's more scared now,
Mhm.
or maybe it's just a dream. But to me, okay, especially because of how it cuts off the sentence, I might beg her to save me. That could just be like a stylistic thing. She does do that.
Yeah.
Everyone, you know, but there's something weirdly kind of ominous. I've never remembered this, and I don't know. But yeah, I think like her mom is tied to that. Maybe that she inherently knows that her mom is her link to
Yeah.
this world, and maybe this is the world that's going to save her metaphorically, but also, but it could just be like, yeah, we're
Well,
scared to cry
and
out for
I think that
mommy, but
it
she doesn't
could
usually do that.
yeah, it could be some indication of like the witch theory too, right? Because
Yeah,
like
that's what I
I
mean.
might even cry out to my mother who had never cared for me, right? The whole
Yeah.
like the way that like Manon's grandmother, right? Like Manon would cry to her grandmother, maybe not towards the end, but like cry to be saved by her, right? Like she would
Mhm.
that would be someone that she might be like help, even though she knows that her grandmother never truly cared for her. And so that's an interesting thing too. But yeah, I don't know. This it
Yeah.
was it felt a little like, "Oh, what?
It feels
Okay."
pointed.
It does.
Like
It does.
I would have expected a line like that. Maybe if there had been a line like that in the first book, and then this is a little callback. Okay.
Yeah, but she never
But
asked for she
it's
never
Such
Midget's
a
her mom,
weird
but
thing to
her.
add.
Yeah.
If I'm her editor, I'm going, "There's a reason for this line, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
because it just feels pointed, and it's the night before her wedding, and it's I don't know. It's like probably we haven't heard a mention of her mother since what, like the when Tamlin asks about how she
I think
died.
so. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
literally, we do not talk about that woman very often.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know. Anyway, um, yeah, she wakes up, she's freaking out, kind
Comforted
of.
by night
Yes,
again.
very
Mm-hmm.
heavily, I will say. Um,
Also, I'm wondering because we've talked about this before when it's italicized, if that's Rhys's
mhm.
voice in her head, right? I would have lurched from my for the bathing room had my legs and arms not shook so badly, and had I been able to breathe, breathe, breathe. But the third one is in italics, so I'm wondering if he is sending down the bond. Breathe.
I do love those series, but typically it's usually separate. It's usually
Yeah, 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 I
when
know.
the
It's
third
usually
one
the
is a
next thing.
line down. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yes. But I could believe that. And especially since like basically right after, a night breeze floated through the open windows, ruffling my hair, drying the cold sweat on me. The dark sky beckoned, the stars so dim and small like speckles of frost, and then a little farther down I scrambled to the open window and pushed it wider, clearing my view of the star-flecked darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, she also describes Reese's eyes as star-flecked.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure his eyes, but yeah. It's just like very. Before we've had moments where she's sort of comforted by a night breeze, and it makes sense. You're scared, you're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sweaty,
Yeah.
sure, but like, this one feels very like
Well, because
on the nose.
the dark sky is beckoning, and also
Yeah,
she's realizing how far away she is from the night sky, right? The
yeah.
stars so dim and small, like specks of frost, and like almost like they're calling to me, and we're so far away from each other because you are.
Hmm. Yeah. I will also say, this reminds me in ACOTAR when she goes with Tamlin into the forest, I think. Maybe also in chapter 3 or 4, she also talks about like the night sky beckoning her too, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of an interesting like, both books are sort of being set up with this beckoning of the night. Um but yeah, that all that language
Yeah,
there was
this
very
last little
classic.
paragraph before the next like part is so
Uh-huh.
delusional.
Very
So
cope.
yes, in a few hours I'd be married. I'd have my happy ending, whether I deserved it or not. But this land, these people, they would have their happy ending too. The first steps towards healing, towards peace, and things would be fine. Then I'd be fine. Babe, that's not how marriage works, love.
It sounds like something that Ianthe or Tamlin told her, and she's like, okay,
Yeah.
here, I'm gonna repeat this to myself
Yeah.
in the dark."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Yeah.
just such cope. Um, and then the very next line, I really, truly hated my wedding gown.
Yep.
Whew, not a great start to our wedding
Yeah.
scene.
No.
Uh, definitely it helps to build the yuck factor.
Well, and she already knows that like it's so false, right? Um Even Alice, as she dressed me, had hummed to herself but said nothing, most likely because Ianthe had personally selected the gown to complement whatever tale she'd weave today, the legend she'd
Hmm.
proclaimed to the world. Like,
Feyre's aesthetics are about Ianthe and Tamlin's narrative, whatever
yep,
they want to project.
yep.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
that there's a falsehood, right? That
Mhm.
whatever tales she wanted to weave today, right? Like whatever she's gonna make up, and
Fit the
however I'm supposed
story.
to just be this figure that is not real. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Um. So classic. You can tell. I don't know if puffy sleeves have come back into fashion the way that Gen Zers love '90s fashion type shit. Because puffy
Mhm.
sleeves are before then, but it's just so classic millennial for her to be so hate, like just utterly hate
Yes.
puffy sleeves. I
Yes,
mean, I feel like it's so specific millennial. And she's
it
like
is.
older for a millennial, but she's like, is she like 44 or something?
I think so.
Yeah, so she's like right on the cusp. But
Yeah.
it's just to me that's like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Mm.
was very interested by this statement about Ianthe. It says Then Ianthe would sanction and bless our union right before sundown as a representative of all 12 high priestesses. She'd hinted that they'd pushed to be present, but through whatever cunning she'd managed to keep the other 11 away, either to claim the attention for herself or to spare me from being hounded by a pack of them. I couldn't tell, perhaps both. And I'm wondering if Ianthe is already kind of rogue.
She seems like it. She seems like she's been rogue because that memory with Rhys is before Amarantha.
Mhm.
It's like 100 years ago or something, right?
Yeah.
So like, I feel like she's been rogue since the get go.
Yeah.
And probably with your daddy as a general, she's like basically a nepo baby, So
Yeah.
she probably just has been like out there for blood anyway.
Mhm.
Like from the beginning.
Well,
Um,
and then imagine what the other priestesses would be telling her. Like, would they make her wear this dress? Would they make her go through with it? Are they going to sit there with her and actually tell her that she needs to work through her trauma instead of keeping her mouth shut? Like, you know,
yeah,
like I could see part of it being like Ianthe wants all the attention, but I can also see it being like, no, I'm going to be able to control this narrative because it's just me.
yeah, yeah. Or maybe she doesn't want she wants Tamlin's influence all to herself.
Yeah. This conversation with Alice is kind of telling too.
Alice knows. She always knows. She
Yes.
is like, don't be nervous. I'm not. You're
Yeah.
fidgeting. And even like the way she's like, you look beautiful. She sounds like, Alice said quietly. It
Hmm.
kind of just gives vibes of like she's also res- uh resigned to Feyre's fate. She's like,
Yeah.
well, you look beautiful, sure.
But then even after she says thank you, Alice says, and you sound like you're going to your funeral.
And then she fakes a smile and Alice rolls her
Mhm.
eyes.
Yep.
It's very like, yeah, this is very mother sister kind of
And
familial
then
vibes.
it'll be over faster than you can blink. Even Alice
Not
is
you want to
like,
talk about your wedding.
no.
It's like
Yeah.
telling a 6-year-old you're going to the dentist to
Hmm.
get, or like a doctor to get a shot. Uh like
Also, this moment with Tamlin bringing down his glamour to let some of his inner light shine.
yes, the breath knocked out of me. She is, I mean,
Well, and then
that kind of moment was when I was reading this and I was like, man, she's really sad. I guess in my head, I just go, oh, this is just a depression arc. We're just going to get like, this book is about her being sad. And it's actually kind of pushing me away. I was like, we're really going to have a whole book about her just being real sad. How long
yeah.
is it? What's the conflict of this book? I was like, that's what I was thinking. So when I read that, I was like, okay, there's that moment of hope. She'll
Hmm.
cling to that. But
But I
it
also think
is
this is for
interesting.
himself when it's
Yeah.
like he'd loosened the grip on his glamour, letting that immortal light and beauty shine through. For
For
me,
me,
I wrote for himself. For himself.
so
It's for
funny.
the narrative, right? They're
It
going to
is
be
for the
married at
narrative.
sundown. So imagine this. She makes it to the dais, right? Ianthe's there. The sun is setting behind them. And it's that same thing, right? The sun is going to glisten off of them. She's in this white, sparkly dress. So she's going to glow. He's glowing. Ianthe's like, everyone's got to glow. Like,
Yeah.
we got to
Yeah.
look like you're super cauldron blessed and that the sun doesn't set on this kingdom. Like, you know?
Yeah. Yep. And I will say the thing that sets it all off is being disregarded, not
Hmm.
being for and is very, obviously it's the trigger. Um and just seeing the color red.
Well,
There is like a
she's
bowl.
already triggered.
Yeah.
When she
She
says
is
there's
scared before she steps out there, but
yeah, like 300 people rose to their feet and pivoted towards me. Not since my last trial had so many gathered to watch
true.
me, judge me. She's already triggered. And
Yeah.
then the red rose petals push it even further. And yeah, it's probably partly like it's probably a lot of it, or at least in the forefront of her mind, is that trigger of blood. But it's also, like you said, probably the like, I
It's
told her no red roses.
yeah, it's like I couldn't even have this one
Yeah,
thing.
it was the
Like,
one thing I requested was no red.
although it does say right after that part when we read that chapter, I think it said, I told her not red, but then I said, well, do whatever you want right after. But it still is like, it's the fucking bride. Don't put some goddamn
Yeah.
roses. Ugh. And yeah, I forced my gaze up to,
Yeah, she's like, just watch where you're going. Watch where you're going. Don't look down. Don't look
I
down. Like
walked
she's
down the
walking the
aisle and
tight.
forced myself to look at my husband.
Yeah, like and then she's like walking this tightrope of death. Like, don't look down. Don't look down. Like what?
Yeah. And I do think it's interesting how, like, the thing that really gets her is, like, the judgment and the shame that she's, like, imagining, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they really, you know, but it's in her head. Like, this is like that depression
Mm-hmm.
goggles. Like, she is like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
the thing
you
that you're
clothe
most
me in
insecure about, you
white."
think people see huge on, right? It's like if you have
Yeah.
a zit on your face, you think that that's all that people see, when in reality, most people don't give two shits, you know? And
Yeah.
she's just like, they like, everyone else was thinking it. They had to be. Yeah.
And then, yeah, as if she were good, as if
Every
I
step
hadn't
is
murdered two
too
of their
fast.
kind.
At first, she wants it to be
Mhm.
over with. Now it's going too fast. She's like, wait, 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 slow down.
Yeah. Also, what does it say that? Oh, maybe there's some line. It's
It says how unfit I was to be clothed in white when my hands were so filthy. Everyone was thinking it. They had to be. And then every step was too fast, propelling me towards the dais in Tamlin.
mhm,
Top of 41.
yeah. Looking for this line, I noticed this. Oh, top third of 39. Oh, that's a while ago. Well, anyway, I just
That's
thought it was
okay.
interesting that she said her dress hissed.
Yeah, I made a note of that too. Also, 10 steps from the dais at the edge of the splatter of red, I slowed, then stopped. Everyone was watching exactly as
Yep.
they had when I'd nearly died. Spectators to my torment. Your
Mhm.
wedding is your torment?
I wrote, "This is the trial she couldn't do."
Uh-huh.
Like, Amarantha just had to get her married.
Amarantha is rolling over in her grave and she's like, I told you she had a fickle human heart.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's actually a great point. Amarantha is like, "Told you so."
Amarantha's
Um,
like, I should have just made her walk down a fucking aisle. Yeah, uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Figure out the riddle now, Feyre. Is it still love? Yeah.
Okay. This line, I think you know what line I'm gonna talk about. So she's walking down the aisle, she feels like she's gonna vomit. Right
Mm-hmm.
over those rose petals, right over the grass and ribbons trailing into the aisle from the chairs flanking it. And between my skin and bones, something thrummed and pounded, rising and pulsing, lashing through my blood.
That's the mate bond. That's a
Okay,
mate
that's
bond.
I was like, is this the mate bond? Is this
Yeah,
like
yeah.
power? Is she summoning magic before she
No.
knows how to? Because she's freaking
I
out. She gonna have like
mm-mm.
a Harry Potter wizard explosion type deal? Like,
I think this is the
is the mate
instinct
bond?
of the mate bond, knowing that she is going to be married to somebody other than her mate. And it
Yeah.
is repulsed by that. And that every fiber of her being is tied to Rhys,
Mhm.
even if she doesn't know it yet.
And okay, now is it confirmed? Is this a meme or is this like a real thing? Rhys is like hanging out with Cassidy and Azriel, and he was gonna get drunk, and then this is probably the moment where he starts to feel it, right?
I don't I think he says it around 54 was his intention, was to get shit faced. I think by
Okay, that's a
himself. I
real
don't think
thing.
he's
I couldn't tell if that was just
Yeah,
some theory
I
on
don't think he
TikTok.
was gonna get drunk with more. I think his plan was to just get completely wasted by
I thought he
himself.
was with Cassidy and Azriel
Maybe.
at the cabin, and then he's
Maybe.
like, "Bye." That's why I'm like, maybe this was just some shit, a fan headcanon.
He's getting wasted in the sauna and he just shows up completely butt ass naked. Hello, Feyre, darling.
Mhm. Yeah. So, but yeah, he's probably feeling that Mape on rising up, and he's like, "All right,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said I wouldn't, but I guess I am gonna."
Yeah.
He's like giggling and kicking his
Oh,
feet.
for sure. He's like, hell yes. I fucking knew she wouldn't do it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, he's probably also like, "Oh no, what's happening to her that she's acting like this?" But he's a little bit giggling and kicking his feet.
Yeah, but she said
Uh,
save me. So he's like, boop. Hi.
mhm.
Yeah.
I will say also a little bit on the bottom of this page. Okay, so she feels what we assume is the mate bond, but it is very interesting. Then she says, "I don't know why I'd bothered to wear gloves." And then she feels more claustrophobic diction. The garden has hedged in. She's inescapable as the vow I was about to make, binding me to him forever, shackling me to him, my weary, broken soul. The thing inside me was roiling now, my body shaking with the building force of it as it hunted for a way out. Here's the thing, Lady of Autumn got married to Baron. So what? Is it not as strong? Like, is it the mate bond because Lady of Autumn, like, she was
She's
maybe
she's not mated to Helion though.
she aren't they?
No.
Wait, wait,
They
wait.
have
Why did I think that that was her mate?
no, they're not they're not mated.
Really?
She had an affair with him, but she's not mated to him.
Why did I think that?
And maybe if she was, aware of it, women can still deny the mate bond. Or I mean both parties can. Rhys says sometimes it's easier for females to say no thanks.
Okay. Okay, no, I just am wrong. I just thought that she was
Yeah,
anyway, I was just thinking like,
Helion's clearly not disturbed by them not being together anymore. He's fucking other people too. So like I don't think they're mated.
oh, he seems beaten up about it a little bit.
I mean, maybe.
Oh,
But
I don't know.
I don't think that they're mates.
Okay. Well, anyway, so the thing is roiling inside her is just the mate bond then.
But I think that that's why we know it's the mate bond because she says, "I don't even know why I bothered wearing gloves."
Yes, it does. Yeah,
Because
the
that's where her
proximity of
brain
that.
goes. She's like, "This thing in me is snapping at me, is thrashing through my blood," and her thoughts are, "I don't even know why I wore these gloves."
This ain't hiding nothing. It's
Yeah, it's
coming
just
out.
like, yeah, it's gonna be there, yeah. And then also like the, the as inescapable as the vows I was about to binding me for to him forever. And like, yeah, shackling him to my broken weary soul, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's the binding me to him forever, the realization that she's gonna be bound to him forever, that her
Mhm.
body is like, no, babe. That's no. Sorry.
Mhm. And the final line before Tamlin tries to call her, "Forever, I would never," this is on the next page, "I would never get better, never free myself of that dungeon where I'd spent 3 months."
Mm-hmm.
So, it's that emotional trapping and, like, not escaping.
Yeah.
And then Tamlin's like, "Feyre," and he reaches for her, and the shadows pool, chilling the air.
Mm-hmm.
And the sun is set. Yeah, very kind of cinematic. Um, and then she begs for help. Help me, help
Mm-hmm.
me, help me. I will say my little theory, it's like such a small theory at this point, but she does say help me 3 times and help does appear.
Yep.
And then yeah, begged Lucian standing in the front row, begged Ianthe, face serene and patient. Save me, please save me, get me out of this, end this. This is the moment. This is really, full force. Like, I no, I don't want to do this. And then she finally says no. She can't bring herself to say it.
Because, like,
Um,
imagine she's walking down, she starts to feel the mate bond, right? So you know that Rhys is like already feeling this mate bond thing happen. And then she says, "Help me, help me, help me." He stands up at that point
and he's like,
and is
bye.
like, "Fuck, fuck, fuck." And then when she says, "Save me, please save me, get me out in this," he's gone.
Yes.
He left right in that moment.
Mm-hmm. He's like grabbing a jacket to put it on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, Ianthe's words are creepy to me too. Honestly,
Yes. Come,
come,
bride.
bride.
Be joined with your true love. Come, bride, and let good triumph as last.
Yeah. And she utterly is like, gag, I'm not good.
Yeah.
I was nothing. My soul eternal was damned. Um and then Reese saves her from having to say no
Yeah.
out loud. I didn't have to say it. Thunder cracked behind me as if 2 boulders had been hurled against each other.
Because he
People
apparated.
Yes. Yeah, he probably really that's probably the sound of words breaking, because he
Mm-hmm.
probably was like, "Let's do this the
Mm-hmm.
fast way." People screamed, falling back, a few vanishing outright as darkness erupted. I whirled, and through the night, drifting away like smoke on a wind, I found Rhys straightening the lapels of his black jacket. "Hello, Feyre, darling," he purred.
He purred. I love it. This next chapter too. I love all of the things in this next one.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
very
it's the
excited for
classic
chapter 5.
chapter.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about chapter 5. Um
Rhys is such a little theater kid.
he is. He is. Also, I have questions about Ianthe and Lucian in the next chapter too,
Ooh.
because there's some interesting stuff that happens with them and you're like, "Wait, what?" Um but yeah, chapter 4 is it's just so iconic.
It is. And
Yeah.
chapter 5 is going to be as well. This
Hmm.
confrontation, the
Yeah.
shoe throwing, the freaking is this ends with her like learning to read, right? That's
No, he
the
tells
next
her that she
chapter?
needs to. Yeah, that she's going
Oh,
to that week.
that's okay. Got it. And then 6 is must be that when she's there, and then 7
Well,
is when she
and
comes
there's
back.
this constant like sort of dichotomy between the fear that he emotes, right? That when he comes in there, like people run away right away,
Mhm.
like people are running. Certain people continue to run, which is really interesting. And she's not afraid of him at
He's like,
all. And like
"Dang."
the only thing that she's afraid of is that he's going to take her to his court, which is under a mountain, and she doesn't want to be under a mountain, but she's never like, what is he going to do with me? She's like, I'm going to be trapped under this mountain. I need to know when I'm going to go there so I can prepare myself. And he's like, I'm not taking you there.
Yeah.
Also, one of the
Yeah.
first things that he tells her is she's not a prisoner.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that's very interesting to look
He
forward
do
to.
get her.
But yeah, I was very happy reading the second one because I had the same sort of thing. I was like, are we going to get a whole book of her just being like, mah, 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 this sucks for forever?
Yeah.
And then by the end of chapter 4, I was like, hell yeah, things are different. Like things are shifting. They're moving along. Like,
I was not happy about it. I was like, "What is this?" Like, and then I was like, "Oh no, is she gonna? Is she? Is it? Are this? Is this book series where she just gets with a High Lord of different court every book?" That's what I thought, and I was like, "Please no, that's so lame."
I didn't
Uh,
think that she would do that, but I was already intrigued with Rhys by the end of the first book. And I remember thinking, like, when his face when he like stumbled back and looks really surprised or whatever, I was like, oh, that's a thing. And I was
yeah,
really excited to see what that meant. So seeing him arrive in chapter 4, I was like, cool, cool. We're gonna get some fucking answers now. Let's go. And I kind of liked Rhys from the beginning. Like I thought that he was kind of a prick, but I also kind of like that. And so I think I was excited to see him on the page again. I did not know that they would be together or mates, but
it
I was,
seems obvious now because I've maybe read a few more romance books, but having
yeah.
never read a romance book when I read this one, I was like,
Yeah, I didn't
I
know
just had
that
no suspicion at
well,
all.
and I didn't know that mates was a trope either. And like, I mean, she
Yeah.
mentions it. The mate thing isn't mentioned until the next chapter for the first time. I don't think that we even know about mates in the
No,
first book at all. So,
no, you do because Tamlin tells her in the first book about the roses are his parents' mating gift, and then
oh,
also she
right,
asks about it, and then
right,
also in the beginning of this book she says she's waiting for the mating bond to snap.
right. She says
But
that before this because I know that she says it in
in like
chapter
chapter
5.
1 or 2,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, um, which is so funny.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting. I think she said that like maybe in like the first chapter, she's like, we've been
got it.
waiting for the mating bond to snap, but
Like
maybe
it's
it
not
would
going to
one of
happen,
these
babe.
days.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have any like final thoughts for this chapter. It's just like I want to
Well,
keep
let's
going.
go. I
Yeah, I'm
wish
like
we could just keep going and it
let's
wasn't
do
like
this.
whatever time it is.
Yeah.
We got our boy back. This is our inciting incident, by the way.
Yes. Yes. I'm excited.
Mm.
This is my favorite book in the series, so I'm
It's my
excited.
favorite book of all her books.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
good with that. Mhm.
Uh-huh. Uh, Close second, Empire of Storms.
Mhm.
But yeah. Okay, so next
Yes.
week we'll jump to Reese's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very very different vibe of the Moonstone Palace in the sky
Yeah.
that she got a little glimpse of during the music hour of Under the Mountain.
Yeah. Well, if it's the same place, I'm still wondering about that. But yes.
Sure, but
Um
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So, to the stars who listen, we will see you next week.
See you next week.